Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Mike X. Welcome to another clip from my YouTube channel, Brother Mike X Speaks. Tonight, I want to follow up on a clip that I shot 2 weeks prior, entitled, "We Have Lost the Trust and Respect of Our Youth." And in that clip, I wanted to spark some energy around this reality, that our young people have, lost trust and respect in us and have begun to develop a contempt for us, and this is a situation that we have to deal with, because as we know, our children are our future, and we are supposed to be helping to shape and mold them so that they can play the role that they need to play in their own lives so that they can become, the next wave of leaders, responsible adults and other things. And so, I'm happy to say that this clip, it created a lot of energy, I primarily, I posted it to my Facebook and to the timelines and groups that I'm connected with through Facebook. And a lot of people, they definitely were impacted and chimed in and offered, a lot of feedback. You know what I mean? So I want to go through tonight some of the feedback that, was brought forth and offered, by many of the people that I connected with, or connected with the video and was impacted by, a controversial topic like that. And that's very controversial because, as adults and parents, man, we like to, think that we got it all on the ball. And when we look at our young people, a lot of times, we want to blame them for, the growing tide of waywardness, that we see being manifested, So anyway, some of the people, some of the comments were like, we got to stop trying to be their friend, and, I agree with that, to a degree. As adults, we have to maintain a moral authority, what I mean? That's based upon us knowing better, due to the fact that we've been here longer, we are supposed to set standards and principles, that we bring them up by, that will allow them to not make the same mistakes that we made, and avoiding those mistakes, not risk, some of the things that we, have had to, deal with, what I mean? I talked to my son all the time as he was coming up, and I let him know, that as a younger person, I was nothing like I am now. I was a knucklehead, man, and there's reasons why I was a knucklehead, but the fact remains I was, a knucklehead, and I'm not, I didn't have a father in the household, and there's racism out here, and the curriculums in school are lopsidedly leaning towards promoting white Eurocentric values and principles. And, that was one of the reasons why I didn't strive to be educationally excellent, when I was coming up. But, the fact remains that, I wasn't focused. I wasn't on task. You know what I mean? And because of that, my life has been harder than what it would have been had I been, led in the proper way. You know what I mean? So I talked to my son unceasingly as he was coming up, man, and laid my life bare for him and constantly told him and talked to him about the fact that, I regret not being on task. I regret not knowing some of the things that I know now. And had I known some of the things then that I know now, that I would have been very, very focused, as I was coming up. And so having provided that to my son, who was getting ready to turn 21 next month, he's a much better man at his young age than I was when I was 21. And, not taking all of the credit for it because, his mom and my mom, his grandmom, he had support, you know what I mean? But as a father, as a male role model, I was able to and made it my business, to strive to be in his life You know what I mean? And to try to lay my life bare to him. And not only that, as an activist, as a student, you know what I mean? I kept the pressure on, my son as he went through school. So not only did he have to deal with, the curriculum inside the school, but he had to deal with his dad's curriculum. You know what I mean? Because I constantly was in his ear, challenging him and making him read and study so that he would know who he is as a young black man coming up in America. You know what I mean? And to his credit, he took advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? So, first and foremost, we have to set that moral standard for our children. You know what I mean? We can't be their friend. We can be friendly with them, you know what I mean? But we cannot be their friend. You know what I mean? Some of the people talked about, the answer to, our young people losing trust and respect for us. A lot of people came with whoop they behinds, physical discipline, punishment. And, I gotta say, I never once hit my son. Never once hit my son. Like I said, I lectured him to death. I lectured him to death and talked to him about society and about, what the expectations are and how hard it is for black people in general and black men in particular. You know what I mean? Because I was striving to turn the light on, you know what I mean, in his life so that he can discern what's what and he could avoid the things that tripped me and my generation up. So I lectured him to death. But I say this, family. And I work with young people. I've been working with young people for about 22, 23 years. And I presently work in non-secure detention. And I work with young people, the same young people we talk about that have lost a lot of respect for us. I work with them. And I got to admit, a lot of these young people, they are so jaded. They are so pessimistic. You know what I mean? That they will, make you want to touch them up. You know what I mean? I can't lie about it, family. You know what I'm saying? But I say this to those who advocate, whooping their behinds. I say this. After you whip their behind, then, and you get their attention, then what do you do? You know what I mean? If you don't have nothing else, if you're forced to tap them up to get their attention and you don't have no consciousness, no awareness, no knowledge, no wisdom, no understanding to follow up with, now that you got their attention, if that's all you got to offer is hitting them with a belt or whatever the case may be, then family, that's only going to work for a little while. And really, it's only going to work while they're in your presence. You know what I mean? When they get out of your presence, they're going to go ahead and do whatever they was doing the whole time. When they're in their presence, they may walk a little bit straighter. They may watch their mouth. They may, what have you, because they know that you're there. But once you're not there, when they're not in your presence, they're going to go ahead and do what they was doing the whole time because you haven't affected their mentality. You haven't affected, their spiritual point of view. So, that whole thing of whooping their behinds, nah, that's deficient. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you have a young person who is, willful, putting it in the nicest way possible, yeah, you might have to tap them up. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that you shouldn't do that if you need to do that, man, to really get their attention. You know what I mean? But I say again, make sure that you are the type of individual that is a studious person. You know what I mean? That learns, has put some time into learning our history, learning what we have been through as a people. You know what I mean? So that you can help them to understand why things are the way they are today. You know what I mean? Make sure you are proficient at dropping science on them, kicking knowledge to them, however you want to say it, so that they, will respond to the truth that they hear. Because truth, even some of the ones that are most wayward, if you speak the truth, to our young people, they will give pause. You know what I mean? They may not stay there because a lot of them have been so conditioned and some of them have never heard truth before. You know what I mean? So, they might not stay in that truth in the short term. But if you're able to paint a picture and help them to understand, how we came here and why we were brought here, and how what's going on today is being done to us by powerful forces to try to keep us from rising. You know what I mean? As individuals and as a people, they will listen to you. You know what I mean? They'll listen to you. So you got to get your mind right. You got to get your spirit right. You know what I mean? And don't rely upon a belt or, tapping them up to work. You know what I mean? Because it'll work a little while, maybe while they're young. But when they start to rise and weight and get to be about the same size as you or grow past you or whatever, you know what I mean? As they get older, that's not going to work. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to care. They'll take a couple of slaps, a couple of swings, hits with the belt, man. And they're going to go after what they find important. You know what I mean? Materialism and, peer pressure and all of these things is going to be more powerful than a couple of taps with that belt. So that can't be it by itself, family. Another thing that, people were talking about, because we was talking about how it used to be when we was together as parents and adults, and how, we was together and we helped to check and discipline each other's children. You know what I mean? So that child knew that even when mommy and daddy wasn't around, there were other eyes watching, because we had those types of relationships in our community. So not only did they watch themselves when they was in our presence, they watched themselves in the community in general, because they knew somebody was probably watching me, because we had that type of cohesiveness at that time. And so some of the people who responded to the clip that I put up was like, yo, we don't have that no more. And we've become so disconnected that many parents, have the type of attitude and mindset of, yo, who are you? Don't say nothing to my child. You know what I mean? Don't discipline my child. That's my child. You know what I mean? And because as parents, we've become so, short-sighted and narrow-minded that we get mad at other parents when they check our children. That has sent a message to the children. You know what I mean? That, I'm not going to listen to any other adult besides my parent. You know what I mean? Or, or I don't even listen to my own parents. So why am I listening to you? Family, we got to get back to a point, man, where we help each other, where we know we need one another. We got to model to the kids that we are together as parents and adults. You know what I mean? And we give power to each other to watch over the interests, of us as parents, of these children. We got to show, yo, this is my neighbor. This is my friend right here. And we got to say this to our children. You know what I mean? You are to respect adults, and you are particularly supposed to respect this person. You know what I mean? And I'm empowering them, to keep an eye out on you. And if they catch you doing wrong, I'm empowering them to rebuke you, to check you. You know what I mean? And then when they tell me, what you did, I'm going to get at you. And if you disrespect this person, you know what I mean? I'm going to get at you. That's the type of thing that we have to rebuild and regain. You know what I mean? We got to show these young people that we have respect for each other as parents and adults. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to help them to begin to have respect for us and for other adults. And that's the type of village practice that we need to bring back into our neighborhoods. We talked about the need for humility. We got to get humble, family. We dropped the ball. You know what I mean? And some were like, yo, I do what I got to do, and I'm the best parent I could be. Yeah, okay, that's great that you're a good parent. You know what I mean? But the subculture that our young people are subscribing to is way more powerful than you as an individual parent. So we got to enlist. We got to form up like Voltron. You know what I mean? Showing my age. We got to come together. You know what I mean? And be just as powerful as the subculture, or more powerful than the subculture, as we strive to raise our children. You know what I mean? We have to come together. We got to support each other, because check this. Every family doesn't have a dynamic adult in the mix. You know what I mean? So it doesn't just matter that you're a dynamic adult. If your child's friend is not a dynamic adult or an empowered adult, you know what I mean? And morals and standards and values are not being reinforced in your friend's house. You know what I mean? That's going to be a danger to you keeping your child in check. So there's many other issues, family, and I'm running out of time, but stick with me. We're going to continue to deal with this one. Peace and blessings.